July 22nd, 2025. I call this regular meeting of the Kingsville School District to order. We will have roll call. Joe Mireles. Here. Ryan Kufal. Martin Chapa. Here. David Garcia. Here. Jacob Perez. Here. Delma Salinas.
Here.
Joseph Reese here. Let the record show that there is a quorum of board members present and that this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Government Code, Chapter 551, State of Texas Open Meetings Act. We move to the moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Of course, this meeting is being live streamed. We move to item number 4, adoption of the agenda. I'm asking that someone will make a motion to adopt the agenda with the following changes. 7G to be an actual report and not an action item. All we're receiving is a report for item 7G. And then on to 7J. I've been asked to have that removed from the agenda. So, do I have anyone make a motion to adopt the agenda with those 2 amendments?
So 7G is discussed and possible action regarding.
It's just going to be a report or no action.
No, sir.
No, sir.
So moved.
Motion made by Joe Mireles. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Delma Salinas. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 6-0. Moving on to item number 5, public participation. Do we have anyone that wishes to address the board?
No, sir.
Okay, hearing none, we move on to item number 6C, communication and administration. Now we'll have 6A, superintendent's update with TA cyclical review. Superintendent update. Go ahead.
I know one of the questions that came out of the board meeting was to give a little bit more context about the cyclical review as part of our special education audit, and Dr. Tonight is going to go over the components of the review.
Board President, Dr. Gama, and members of the board, the PowerPoint is on its way. You just give me a minute. It's facing the wrong way.
Oh, okay. Just do this thing.
My apologies.
I can do my item if you want me to. Do you want me to do my item first?
I think she has it there. She should get in there.
Just throwing it on. It should work. No, I don't think it's not going to do anything right now. Let it open as a PDF.
Okay, just move it for me then.
Yeah, I can move it for you. It's fine.
Okay.
It's all good.
Okay, I do apologize. This is a PDF on the PowerPoint, so he was going to help me push it through. So this is an update on the TEA cyclical review. In Texas, the TEA utilizes a cyclical monitoring schedule to oversee special ed programs in local education agencies. This schedule is a 6-year rotating system ensuring a comprehensive review of each of the LEA's education practices and policies. A cyclical review can consist of either a comprehensive desk review or a comprehensive on-site visit. So why is Kingsville on the on-site visit? On the on-site review is conducted based on the LEA's historical performance data, including prior years' RDAs, or the Results Driven Accountability Determination Level, DL, of 3, 4, 4, and indicators of performance. The comprehensive cyclical review on-site is designed to evaluate 2 particular objectives. One is the district's performance on all 7 critical areas of compliance identified in the diagnostic framework, which includes evaluation, IEP, properly constituted ARDS, IEP content, IEP development, the transition and state assessment. Those are the 7 critical areas, and implementation of the LEA's dyslexia program as it aligns to the federal and state requirements. The RDA system is used by TEA as one part of its annual evaluation of the LEA's performance and program effectiveness in the areas of bilingual, special populations, and special education. The Special Ed RDA report includes 18 indicators across Domain 1 through 3 that are used to measure and ensure the academic success of students receiving special ed services in Texas. The next slide includes all of the 18 indicators that TEA looks at very critically to see how our students are performing. The performance level, the PL, is the result that occurs when a standard is applied to the district's performance on an indicator. Each indicator is measured with varying data points and sources. For example, some indicators such as behavior are based on a 2-year of prior data. So some of the data is lagging in this information. The determination level scores are calculated to identify a district's determination level. Each district receives a determination level, or DL, and is selected for the 2025 RDA interventions based on the DL status. So if you recall, this past year, Kingsville's DL was a 3, and Kingsville missed the DL2, which would have been needs assistance, by a 0.09 of a point. So we were extremely close to getting down to a 2, which is an improvement from years prior. So the on-site visit activities may include, but are not limited to, stakeholders' feedback. There will more than likely be interviews with various parents, general education teachers, district staff, special education teachers, and paraprofessionals. There will also be classroom observations that will be conducted of instruction in special ed and general ed provided to students with disabilities and dyslexia. There will be a review of documentation of student files, policies, procedures, and progress monitoring. So we do expect the visit to include a visit to our admin building and our file room, in which they will randomly select files to review at their leisure. the dyslexia early interventions and identification, program instruction, and parent communication. So now that dyslexia is part of special education, they will be reviewing our district policies and procedures. So when is KISD's on-site visit? As you can see here, Region 2 is identified, and we are part of the Group 3. So they will be coming between the months of April and June for the on-site visit. So what do campuses need to focus on? We recently had a principal leadership bootcamp training in which we reviewed this exact PowerPoint to prepare not only our principals, but our assistant principals that do sit in ARDS to ensure that we are getting prepared this year, as we should every year, but particularly this year to ensure everything is in order. Number one is the skeleton in an ARD. That's what we call it. It's an internal term for KISD, but it's the present levels of academic achievement and functional performances. The goals must match the skeleton information based on the general education teacher information and the implementation of teaching the skills that are targeted in the special education student records. Our administrators are here present, and they did sit through that training to ensure they can help us continue the work and prepare for this visit. The next slide, it will take you to look at the skeleton, which we're not, because it pulls us into same goal, but that was an example of our training. And then the last is a conclusion. This on-site visit will reflect the abilities of the entire district, not just in special education. General ed teachers' feedback will be vital to the progress of all special education students, because we do know that special ed children are regular ed first. Every single student's needs must be addressed with intention and purpose. And then lastly, the students' needs don't end in the ARD. Implementation and consistent documentation are essential. Thank you.
One thing I wanted to say is we talked about the multi-tiered system of support that we're developing in the last couple of years. Is that now on every campus and every teacher's hand?
Yes, sir, it is. The multi-tiered system, which is, I think you're referring to MTSS?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, so.
RTI a long time ago.
Yes, RTI. So last year, we completed the in-house manual. This summer, we sent 2 of our staff members to training, and it is part of our professional development rotation that starts next week. So all of our teachers were going to be briefed again on MTSS for academics and for behavior. And now part of Same Goal, we've added the MTSS, where everyone will keep the documentation of what we're doing on Tier 1 for instruction.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question on staffing, and this is directed to the superintendent. I know Laura Zimmerman left, our director of special ed. Is that position, I know we're going through an attrition, but is that position going to be filled? Because I feel that it's a very critical position in any school district.
Yes, that is a goal, but we also want to make sure that we are attracting quality candidates for the position, and that we're doing our due diligence to ensure that we end up with a person that has the experience in the position. And I know that we are going to we looked at first submissions, and it's a very narrow pool. We want to expand it, so we're keeping it open until we can increase the pool.
Thank you.
Mr. Nice.
Yes, sir.
What is the role of having an art facilitator? Sit in on each art meeting?
An art facilitator sits in each art meeting. At the high school, we do have a certified teacher who is an art facilitator. She has been trained on all the legal framework for conducting an art.
Now, what is the role and purpose?
What is the role and purpose? They just assist in the facilitation of the art. They ensure that you're following the agenda and it stays with all the legal pieces. At the other campuses, we do not have an art facilitator. We do have one of our diagnosticians who does lead all those ARDs.
So can they help with this audit?
The art facilitator? Yes, everyone has to help with the audit. I wouldn't say I would put that type of responsibility on the art facilitator. That is why we did train all of our campus administrators, because they must ensure that every art is constituted correctly, and that it is not, doesn't end in the art, but the implementation of the art has to be in place, along with the visits that will be taking place, not only with us, but with the visit. Yes, sir.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now moving on to item 6B, board discussion on property values and taxes. My favorite.
Thank you, Mr. Reese, Dr. Gama Garcia, members of the board. It is my favorite as well. So this is a requirement for one of our financial indicators that we have this discussion every year. Mainly, a couple of years ago, they moved to using current values of the current year for a basis as far as how much money is going to be generated. The problem with that is our district has routinely been off with our property values between the county and between the state comptroller. So we usually find out in August or September how much money our values are going to be counted toward revenue for basically our budget. So that puts us behind. Every year we have to protest. Every year we usually land somewhere in the middle, and every year we have to basically project where we're going to end up, because we don't know where we're going to end up until after that protest between the comptroller and the county. And again, we hire Linebarger to do that every year. So that puts us behind we really don't know how much money we got for the previous year until August or September of the next year. And that makes it very difficult to know how we're going to end up for the budget for the year, because that's such a large amount. Can be $2 million, and maybe we can cut it down to $1 million by the end of the year, that we are dependent upon what that final property protest is going to end up to be. So that again affects what my budget projection is to you. I have to project ahead of time what a year down the future, what they're going to end up with. So sometimes it's more accurate than others. I will take any questions that you have as far as property values and how it affects our budget and taxes.
So Dr. Pitts, so last year there was, the state had.
The state always proves a higher value for our property values than the county does.
What's the wash this year? What is it? Same? Is it?
Every year it's about $1.5 million, but hopefully we can get it down to under $1 million after we protest it. But the problem is that, again, they're saying that the district should collect way more taxes than we do. And we don't collect as many taxes because the county we collect taxes based on county values. But the state says your value should have been higher, so you should have collected this much. So since you collected less, we're not going to give you as much. So that's the problem. Every year, it's usually ends up somewhere between $800,000 and $101 million a year that we lose in revenue because those are different.
Okay, and staying on the revenue deal, does Linebarger ever tell you the percentage of tax dollars they don't collect from Erie Clay County? Is it they only collect 80%? Do they collect 90%? Do you have that number?
I don't have that number with me, but I can tell you usually it's close to about half of what they could have gotten us. And they only charge us 7.5% of the amount that they actually collect.
Okay, so then let's say, for example, the other portion that we don't get, 50 or 43, whatever.
We lose that money. It's money that the state, according to their formulas, it says that the school district is entitled to,
Yeah, no,
and we don't get it.
Do they share with you, Any ideas to try to collect it, other than suing people or putting people in jail? I don't know, what are our options or their options for trying to collect, ag taxes?
So we can't collect back taxes because their values are approved for that year and that's it. You can try to solve it moving forward. And the way to solve it moving forward is to, number one, work with the appraisal district to get them to approve values that are closer to the state values. And we have gone several times and spoken with at the appraisal district. And number two, the other way is to go down to TA. And I've been twice down to Austin to try to get lawmakers. Every year they know of this issue. We are entitled to this money, but we're not getting it because the comptroller and the county can't agree. And they haven't, every year they propose bills to solve this issue and they have not passed. So we're hopeful that maybe 2 years from now, this issue might be solved, but for now, there is nothing else that we can do right now that is in our power.
Any more questions? Thank you, Dr. Pitts.
You're welcome.
We now move on to item number 7, new business. 7A, by common consent, the board agrees to consider as one action the following item: approval of waiver of tuition for transfer students, and approval of meeting minutes on May 28th, June 24, and July 16th and 17th, 2025. And this can be found on pages 17 to 46. Do I have a motion to approve by common consent?
So moved.
Motion made by Jake Bettis. Second by Joe Mireles. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. We move on to item 7B, discussion of possible action regarding the VFW proposal for the Polk Center. This can be found on page 47. Dr. Pitts.
Thank you very much. I'm going to give a little introduction and then I'm going to let Mr. Callison present here his proposal. So we have one facility that one of our facilities that's not being used is the Pogue building. That's the building on Fordyce. And we had originally used it for DAP for years, but now the DAP facility is over at our at the Clayburgh Center. So right now that building is not being used. Currently we are not paying utilities on them, but we still have some other expenditures there. Every year we have to pay the appraisal district. We have to also pay for insurance on it as well too. So if it is occupied, we will also have utility costs as well too. The administration has estimated that it would cost us $780 to keep that building open and running per month. And we have invited Mr. Callison to discuss a little bit about his use for this building.
My name is Mike Callison. I am the Senior Vice Commander for VFW Post, along with a few other things. What we're trying to negotiate is right now we have 100+ members in our VFW. We have no building to conduct business in. We don't even have an auxiliary to help us out. That's the spouses of our members. So we're working from inside our homes. And when I have a veteran pass away, and I'm a service officer in charge of the honor guard, and I have a spouse come to me, she got to come to my house. Very unprofessional. So what we're doing is reaching out for a property you're not utilizing to see if there's some way that we could get it to use as a headquarters to conduct business from. Our big thing right now, currently, we're on a very limited budget. We don't have an auxiliary to help support us, to do bake sales, to do things. We don't have our own building area to do fundraisers. We have to piggyback off somebody, which costs us money or a percentage. So overall, this would be beneficial for us. Now, I cannot enter into any kind of agreement or contract. I'm just a negotiator. Apollonio is a quartermaster in charge of the money. And the adjutant. Okay? I'm the retired guy that's got the time to run around. So I've been working with Mr. Pitts, and I'd like to continue to work with him. Keep our communication between us. I send something to him, he distributes it. He sends something to me, I distribute it. But it keeps it funneled, and so no outside hands get into it. The proposal would be a legal contract. With a legal contract, this is the basics of it. VFWs are chartered by U.S. Congress. Yeah, that's where our charter begins. We are covered under national, state, district, then our post. So any contract we enter into has to be approved by all of them, which takes time and a lot of arguments. Okay. First, we have to get our 100+ members to agree on this. Our members make the decisions for our post. No individual does, just like your board does. Looking at the demographics here and stuff like that, and Mr. Pitts, did you get what I sent you this morning in an email?
I haven't had a chance to read.
Okay. The facility would fit us great. If I can sell just to our members approximately $780 a month for us to guarantee to come up with, I don't know if that'll fly. I honestly don't. Because right now, as we stand, most of our members are an elderly population. They're passing away very quickly. We don't have an influx, as you know, especially with schools, of the younger generation coming here for a multitude of reasons. Okay? We understand that. I'm sure that everybody here is aware that on August 2nd, our VFW post will be having its 85th anniversary party. The Boot, Scoot, and Boogie Dinner and Dance down there in historic Kingsville, Texas. If not, look at our website. All right? Those kind of things are what we can do. Of course, Mesquite House Barbecue is hosting this for us. So they get the majority of every ticket sale. We get some. That's all we can ask for. We do school scholarships, essay contests. I'm sure most of the administration should be aware of that. We do teacher awards every year. We do Scouts of America awards. We also help out in the community when we can. So what we're asking is that somehow we come to some kind of an agreement. We cannot ask for funds for anything really, from district, state, or national, or our foundations, as we call it, because we don't own the property. It wasn't gifted to us. That's one. The other thing is, it's not a 100-year fixed lease at $1 a year. We can guarantee and forward, and we would have authority to modify it to fit further needs. As Mr. Pitts discussed, the way it's standing right now for a proposal, which is for your discussion to take care of, is basically we're renting it year to year. Well, possible like 6 month notice of that. Trying to get my members to buy off on that's going to be real tough. We'll give it a shot, but I mean, it's up to them as a whole. And I thank you for your time. Anybody's got any questions for me?
I have some questions. Oh, I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Michael Callison.
Mr. Callison. How long have you been a member?
I remember what,
Of the VFW?
1972 was the first time I joined. Then I went overseas for a while.
So you did have once a building on Sixth Street, right? Was that the VFW that I remember?
They burned down?
Yes, okay.
No, that's the one that's in the city.
That might have been the American Legion.
American Legion, okay.
But yeah, a long, long time ago, 20 plus years ago, our post, that was leased property. And the person was just like, I'm not rebuilding. That's what I understand. And we've been homeless ever since,
For 20 years.
more than that.
Okay. So where do you currently have your meetings?
Right now, we piggyback off the American Legion on the other side of 77. And a lot of people don't make it there.
Are you going to sell alcohol?
No. No. We are in a residential area if we get to the building.
No,
I'm dead set against that.
so the use of the property would be just for meeting, storage, and community space. So we wouldn't do any type of canteen sales, is what the VFW calls it. Now, later on in the future, if we were to acquire a large enough property with a hall, then yes, we would possibly look at that. But that's not what we're looking for right now. Right now, we just want a home so we can base our operations and start recruiting like we should.
Yeah, we can get all the stuff out of all of our houses into one building. Would be nice. Anybody else?
A question for Ms. Maddox. Ms. Josh, on this,
My concern, Mr. Chavez, and members of the board, Superintendent Garcia, is we do have a cost associated with this that the district does pay. So we have a constitutional prohibition of gifts of public funds. And so I would like an opportunity to look at this, to draft the board a resolution, should the board wish to go forward with this, that addresses the issue that this would not be a gift, and bring us into compliance with that provision of the Texas Constitution.
I'd like to ask Dr. Pitts, if I could, a question. Dr. Pitts, what's our expense in that particular building every year? You mentioned something about appraisals,
Oh, okay.
insurance.
Yes.
utilities.
So we have utilities, we have insurance, we pay the appraisal district. And then we wouldn't have telecommunications because they wouldn't be using our telecommunications, right? Right. So and then the only other expense is maintenance costs, because we are on the hook to fix any maintenance costs that happen with that building. Something goes wrong, we have to fix it.
Okay. I'm familiar with what the district did several years ago to the old Austin School, 720 East Lee. I worked there, as a matter of fact, that's where our office, Human Services, used to be. And we did the whole lease thing for $1, but we were responsible for everything that happened there. So I like to see, the 780, I'd really love to give it to the VFW, really, but I'm just concerned about the expenses we're gonna have, especially in the crunch that we're in now. I'd like to see those numbers beforehand and start looking at that if we could. Dr. Pitts.
Yes, sir. We're projecting that 780 would cover all district costs to that building every month. And again, that includes maintenance and that does include groundskeeping. So
What about insurance?
insurance, that includes insurance as well too. I built it all
Is
in.
everything?
Everything in there, yes. The appraisal fees, everything to maintain that facility.
So if an AC goes out there, central system goes out, the district is held liable for that?
Yes, the district is held. We would have to replace it.
Sure.
Like I was trying to say, on a short-term lease, VFW overall, there's no way that we can make any kind of commitment for money or request it from higher. That's just the way it is. So if you know that every year you're gonna lose money with it just sitting there vacant and being next to a park and the vandalism and everything else you gotta deal with, What I was suggesting is the 100-year, and then turn it over for us for total maintenance and upkeep. I mean, that's an offer. Those are things that we need to work out and discuss for both the benefit of KISD and the VFW, with no shortfalls.
I think I'd like to, yeah, that's just me thinking, waive the 780 and just let VFW, with the exception of insurance, we understand we could carry that, but with the exception of utilities, expenses would be covered by VFW.
And something that Mr. Pitts talked about, it could be drafted that Kingsville still be billed for the basic utilities. Internet will take care of it. We do not want to be involved with KISD's internet. You have your own securities, your own stuff. We have ours. So, water, electric, pretty much it. We'll take care of the internet, and if it's written out that we utilize the facility for $1 a year, which would make a legal and binding contract, and we're responsible for the utilities, we'll take care of the internet, and ground maintenance, and building maintenance. And if it's drafted that way, I think that'd be more realistic to get our members to say, kudos, let's go tomorrow. You know? But I mean, that's something you guys have to discuss.
Yes.
I mean, everybody here knows there's gonna be no growth in Kingsville. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah. My recommendation to the board, thank you, sir, would be based also on Mr. Maddox's recommendation, is to give the administration permission to enter into contract negotiations and get a proposal to the board that you can review, so you can see everything that was discussed here in a written format after Mr. Maddox also does his due diligence to find out what do we have to be in compliance with. So I would modify this to, the action would be to allow the administration to enter negotiations so that we can get the proposal drafted and you can review it.
And as I also brought up to Mr. Pitts, okay, we want to make sure that you are in compliance with every single thing. Okay? Which means we have to also be in compliance. We have people to answer to, you have people to answer to, and we make sure we don't do anything incorrect. Okay. Any other questions from me? And don't forget, show up at the Boot Scoot Boogie.
Thank you for your service.
Hi. Commander Torres, the VFW Post 2375. One of the things that I want to mention also in regards to this is that we're not only serving veterans and service members, we also service their dependents and military spouses and spouses who have lost their veteran or service member. So in regards to that, and we don't only service individuals from Clayburgh County, we service individuals from the surrounding rural areas. Our district holds 19 posts. And those 19 posts run from Corpus Christi to Beeville down to Paufurias. So we have a little over about 3,000 veterans. That's just including Clayburgh County and the rural area of Paufurias, Bishop, Kennedy County, and Ibarra. So we service also, we assist with making sure that our posts have scholarships and benefits. And the only way that we can do that and give back to the communities if we have a home that we're able to hold fundraisers or open it also to the community so that they're able to come in and see exactly, what we do and what we can do for them. One of the other things in being strict with what we do is that we don't only have a post and district guidelines and security measures, we also have to answer to the state of Texas, VFW state, and the national VFW. So there isn't anything that we can do without getting permission or making sure that it's above board. So, and thank you for allowing us to come up and speak with you.
Thank you very much. So Mr. Maddox, as far as the discussion and possible action can we modify to indicate, receiving I guess, a proposal from legal to be able to enter, like, how can we modify this, to say correctly?
Yes, Mr. President, we just need a motion to authorize the administration to enter into negotiations. And I will also, on my side, work on a resolution that would support the adoption of that contract, should the board wish to do that.
Okay, so is there a motion to allow the administration to enter into an agreement with the provision that our legal provide the, proper resolution?
So moved.
I second.
Motion made by David Garcia, second by Jake Bettis. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Now moving on to item 7C, discussion and possible action regarding the notice of public hearing date and time to discuss the 2025-2026 proposed budget and proposed tax rate. And it can be found on page 48, Dr. Pitts.
Thank you. I really need to discuss the next item before now that we are not voting on the salaries today. I need to get clarification on the next item. Is it possible for me to switch that at this late time, or?
Yeah, so we're gonna entertain item 7D and then go back to 7C?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll move on to 7D, discussion of possible action regarding the order for the voter approval tax rate election for November 4th, 2025. Can be found on pages 49 to 50, Dr. Pitts.
It's not two elections, it's one for, I think it would be, I don't see it right there, so I'm just gonna discuss for now. Okay, so we had presented the option of having a voter-approved tax ratification election at the last couple of meetings. So that would allow us, without increasing the tax rate, it would allow us to shift pennies from the INS over to the M&O. And the way that would be helpful for us is we would have $530,000 extra the first year to move toward our general fund deficit. So that is the benefit. The requirement, and then every year it would increase. Those pennies would be permanently on the M&O side. We only have to have one election. Every year as property values increase, it would go up. So the second year might be $585,000 extra to the general fund, and then maybe $630,000 extra to the general fund. Every year, a greater portion of the taxes will be going to the M&O side instead of to the INS side. So that has to be approved by voters to do that. And in order to do that, there's a specific timeline. So I guess my question is we would not be able to order the election today because working with MoKC, the order has to have all the tax rates that are calculated from the property values, which we do not have yet. If we order the election, the last date possible to order the election is the 78th day before the election, before November the 4th, which would end up being August the 18th. So that would be the last day that we could order the election if we're interested in doing that. But the next item is to set the date that we're going to approve those property values. So I really need to know ahead of time if the board wants me to move forward with the timeline. We have two different calendars. Do we want to go with the timeline for the voter-approved tax ratification election? And again, if we go out for an election, people's taxes are going to be exactly the same if it approves or if it disapproves. It's just a matter how much of the tax is on the M&O and how much is on the INS. And most people's taxes are going to go down this year because the other thing House Bill 2 did is it change the homestead exemption from $100,000 to $140,000. So if we are ever going to go out for a voter-approved tax ratification election in a year where people's taxes are decreasing automatically because the exemption, this is the year to do it. And again, it will raise, basically it'll help our deficit about $530,000 this year and more in subsequent years. I'll take any questions that you guys have.
As long as we educate the public like we discussed, that's very important, because even we understand that. But when we start putting that out there, tax rate election, that's gonna be key too. And you're right, this is the year to do this, put some more money back into our piggy bank, but we just gotta make sure that we educate those voters.
I know Dr. Gama Garcia had put together a 100-day plan that detailed what we're going to do in each segment, and if we move forward with that, even though we wouldn't be ordering the election, what I've heard is it's not uncommon to start the messaging right away. We can start the messaging tomorrow. If this is the route we're going to go through, we can start moving forward in that 100-day plan and start getting the messaging out there. And that's why I sent the board some samples of the organization that was recommended by Mo Casey. Again, that is $3,200 a month for 20 hours of work per month. That again, it doesn't meet the $50,000 threshold, but I want direction from the board. If that's the direction we're moving in, we will start the messaging and start putting the calendar together for all the items that need to happen so that we can get the message out there and show how it's going to help the school district and how it's not going to affect their taxes at all, and really how their taxes, if they own a home and it's over $100,000 in value, their taxes are going to go down this year significantly.
So Dr. Ritz, I have a question. So what is it that you want the board to do if this is a report item and no action needed? Are you saying?
Really what I need is direction that, is that something that we are going to do? Because if we're going to do it, then the other item, I have to set the public meeting date that we're going to have the hearing for the taxes and the budget. We have to vote on that date today. So that affects that other item.
Okay, so then what you're saying is, okay, we got that report, now we move on to 7C to determine whether.
Yes, if that's the direction, is there any discussion from other board members on, is that the direction that we're moving in? And can we set the date with that direction?
It's real quick, just explain to me a little bit, because you mentioned something and I just don't remember. You said
Okay,
whether the outcome, either way, can you go back and?
Yes, so I don't have a slide on the, no, I don't have a slide on this today. So our current tax rate is 1.41, approximately 1.4104. And that is balanced between, some of it is on the maintenance and operations side, and some of it is on the INS side, the bond side that we own. So the total tax rate is going to stay the same, whether it passes or not. What they are approving is whether we can move some of that from the bond side over to the general fund side. That's what they're approving. If they don't approve it, then it's going to stay over there. It's still going to be there. The total rate is still going to be the same, 1.04, but it's just that it will help our bonds more than it will help our general fund more.
I'm with Mr. Garcia on that, as far as the communication and getting it out there to where everybody can understand what we're trying to do. You just showed an example right there.
Yeah.
If we can get that out there where everybody can understand it, I mean, across the board, I think we might get some bites on that.
Yeah.
But it's got to be very, very, very clear, and we don't want to upset anybody more than they already are.
It's going to take a lot of communication to explain it, because one of the things I put in the board packet, Mr. Krufall last time has asked, what does the actual language say on the ballot? And unfortunately, the language on the ballot only says the maintenance and operations side. It doesn't say the INS side. So the ballot is going to say your maintenance and operations tax rate is increasing by 3.17 cents per $100. It is up to us to get the messaging on the other side that it's not going to raise their taxes at all. And unfortunately, we cannot put that on the ballot.
That's gonna be a lot of clarification on our part then, getting out there, because, if we just sit on it and then get it out there, it's not gonna happen.
Absolutely.
We gotta be so transparent, you can see right through us.
It's going to be a lot of work, and and to be honest, we may do all that work and it might not pass, but if it does, that's $530,000 this year and more money every other year that can help our general fund. It's something that, and again, this is the year to pass it because most people's taxes are going to decrease anyway because of the homestead exemption. So, yes,
I wanted to go back to what you said earlier. We're looking at $150 an hour for 20 hours, which is about $3,000 for some company that Mo Casey is going to recommend.
we do not have to do that, but my thought is that we need some assistance because we have not been through a bond election. Well, it's not a bond election, it's called a voter-approved tax ratification election because we're basically not building any new construction. We're just modifying the tax rate. But we believe that in order to get this passed, we need some assistance from someone who has experience in this sort of thing. And if it passes, it's definitely worth the investment.
So can you go in more into what kind of assistance you're seeking?
Okay, so the assistance provided would be the messaging, the framing of the message, the mail outs, the flyers, the website postings, the social media postings, crafting it in a way that highlights how those dollars are going to be used to benefit our district. So it's all about the messaging. And again, I don't feel I have the expertise to frame the messaging. None of us really in current administration has been around for the last election. So to get this across the finish line, we're really going to need everything that we can get to support that.
But I think we can also break down the tasks. So the first order of business is to recognize from the board if we want to proceed in pursuing this election. That's the first thing that we need to decide. Once that's decided, we can seek out different marketing and communication firms that have an expertise in this item to figure out what is the correct language. Also realizing that we work in a very diverse market. We might have to explain it both in English and Spanish for some folks and have that experience, and then we can provide that and then proceed. But because we're in such a tight deadline at this point, everything has to be done in a very quick order. And then to Dr. Pitt's point, we can get there and realize that we know that we have to educate and communicate the benefits in very simple language, because even I'm still trying to, we understand it, but it's still complex with visual graphics, simple explanation so that we understand that taxes are not going to be raised, that we're just moving money from one side of the pocket to the other side of the pocket. Something like that, but we need your permission first and your direction to say, yes, we proceed, so we can put the plan in place and put it in front of the board.
Dr. Garcia, I like the recommendations. Thank you for that. I think I'm like to make a motion on moving forward and voting for this. Okay, so now we're going back to
Now we're going back to item 7C. Is that correct?
So 7D, we cannot order the election yet today. I was just seeking direction from you because the actual order that I have to bring in front of you has to have all the calculations from the property values, which we do not have from the appraisal district yet. So I don't need an action, I just need direction so that I know which date to propose for item 7C. And August 18th would be, so we have to announce between 10 and 30 days ahead of time when we are going to have the date for the public hearing. We'd have a 5 o'clock meeting right before, give the chance for present and give the chance for any public to have comments. And then we have to move again the meeting to August the 18th. That is the last date that we can order the election, and then we can pass our budget and our tax rate. Now that's a very tight timeline, because what I would need to do is I would need to bring to you on August the 4th, the entire budget, which would include salaries and everything else. And now that salaries won't be approved tonight, we'll probably need a special board meeting next week to approve salaries, because then once I have that in the budget, that's 80%. I can still start working on the other pieces around it, but salary is such a big part of the budget that that kind of pushes everything back a little bit. So I believe we could still make that, but it's going to be a tight timeline because, again, on August the 4th, I have to have it prepared to you, because whatever we agree on has to be posted in the paper, and it has to be posted in a certain format, has to be posted by function so that everybody can see it at least 10 days before the 18th. So if I have it on the 4th, I can get it to the paper by the 8th, and then it can be posted by the 18th. So,
Dr. Pitts,
Yeah, you're good, bro. I mean,
I think the consensus of
I
the
lost you
board,
there.
sorry.
yeah, so I think the consensus of the board is go after it, Dr. Pitts, and we believe in you. We believe in you, so get it
Okay.
all done. Whatever you have to do, just get it done.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we do need an action item to approve the date of the public hearing to be on August the 18th.
So, okay, so we're going back to item 7C. Is there a motion to approve the date for the proposed 25-26 or proposed tax rate for August? What day was that, Dr. Pitts?
August the 18th.
August the 18th. So moved. Okay, motion made by Martin Chapa, second by Jake Perez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Okay, so C, you already did D, we're going now to 7E, discussion of possible action regarding donation. Okay, can we find a motion? One, Dr. Pitts.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. You see the donation there, $1,000 from Capital Farm Credit Union to HMK High School FFA. I'll take any questions you have.
Thank them for putting it on the agenda.
Yes, sir.
Let's all know what's going on. That's registration of course.
Yes, sir. Everything that now is $1,000 or more will be on the board agenda for board approval.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to, accept the donation from Capital Farm Credit to HM King High School FFA?
So moved.
Motion made by David Garcia, second by Delma Salinas. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Okay, moving on to item 7F, discussion possible action regarding purchases of over $50,000. Dr. Pitts.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. This was originally put on the agenda because some of the vendors had a cost over $50,000 for the first year. So we put it on there just to, again, transparency. Whenever there's a big purchase like this would be a 5-year. That's not the right one. I'm sorry, go to this item that looks like this. It's on that, it's like a PD, that should be, there we go, that's perfect. So we have 4 vendors that have proposals. So our current phones, we have Cisco phones, they are near end of life and we need another solution. And those phones, they also require a lot of physical devices that are expensive and break to maintain. We are proposing moving to the cloud. So moving to the cloud, the phone lines would run over the internet, and they, again, we would have redundancy as well too, because most people have cell phones. So if for some reason the internet went down, everybody would be able to use their cell phone. So we went out for 4 different bidders. Again, they will be new devices, And each vendor was rated according to those criteria that you see. The first one that was 50% was price, and that price that you see at the top is the 5-year price. Over 5 years, that's how much we would pay total. So the first vendor you see, Computer Solutions, $296,000 and change. Second one, T-Mobile, $214,000 and change. Foremost, $275,000 and change, and Global Data, $186,000 and change. So each of the vendors were rated according to the total cost for the district over 5 years. That was 50%. They were also rated based on past relationship with the district. Some of the vendors we have worked with in the past, some have not, and the reputation of the vendor. We called references for each of the vendors as well, focusing on school districts that these companies have provided services for. And then, of course, the quality of the vendor's goods or services, what types of phones they were getting, what features they had, and then how well their solution met our needs as well too, and rated each one. The lowest rated one, not only in just cost, but in total overall rating, was Global Data. For that one, the cost is spread out equally over the 5 years. So that one would have a cost of $37,359 each year over 5 years. And again, so that is the devices. The devices, it's a lease, but at the end of the lease, we will be able to buy the devices for $1 a device, which is basically, we have 386 devices. For $386, the devices would be ours at the end of that 5-year term. And again, this is a price lock for 5 years, so the price would not go up for 5 years. Currently, we are already paying over $40,000 a year in our current plan, which has basically it has SIP trunks and it has a monthly fee as well too. So currently, this is not only going to be an upgrade, but is going to save us on monthly costs moving forward. I'll take any questions that you have.
Anybody in the area that uses this? Anybody around?
Yes, Bishop, Ricardo, Freer, La Gloria. There's someone I'm missing in there that I didn't say that's from around here too.
Look, are we in contract with somebody else, or is our contract lease almost over?
Our contract expired, and now we're month to month. So that's why we were able to, we were in a 5-month lease, and that's why it was a perfect time where our devices were near end of life, and at the same time, we were able to go out for bids.
Are we currently in the cloud, or are we analog phone system?
Can you answer that better than I can, Dr. Garcia?
Good evening, President Joseph Reisman, rest of the board members, and Superintendent Carmen Garcia. Yes, so right now our phones work over the internet. So basically it's voice over IP. So we're already using the internet to talk on our phones throughout the district. So if the internet goes down, our phones go down anyway. We do still have some analog lines. We use those for our fire alarm panels for redundancy, and then we use those also for like our elevators. But that's the extent of where our analog lines lie. But our phone service is through Foremost, and we use on-premises hardware, which includes SIP trunks and PRI lines, which is what Dr. Pitts was talking about. The cost to maintain those devices, they are end of life. They've been in the district for quite a while. And also the cost for our staff to continue to try to manage those devices in time. It takes a long time to manage, to configure each and every phone line at every single campus and update those as they fail, and purchasing new phones every time. And the Cisco devices are very expensive. They're about $300 to $400 a device every time a phone goes down. So our proposal is to move those SIP trunks and those PRI lines that are on premises. Global Data can take all of those phone numbers and move them all to the cloud, so that we eliminate our hardware on campus and not have to repurchase those additional devices. And also they have more cost-effective phones that work with their system. The other thing that we're also looking is at future-proofing for our telephones to integrate with our intercom and our PA systems in the campuses. We're having some difficulties at the high school and the middle school with teaching equipment as well. And so for future proofing, they are a viable solution as well that we can look at to integrate with those systems, and also at a cost savings, because the cost to replace speakers and wiring throughout the district would be really expensive.
So, would there be any, like, setup costs? Is this 37,000 that we're getting?
No, so
Annually,
they are waiving any installation fees and setup costs, and so they're strictly just charging us for the service per device. So each device has to have what's called like a license. And so that's where kind of the phone service comes in. So it's really more licensing to use the phone in their software service to manage all of those devices. But in the end, it'll also eliminate our current phone bill. So the PRI and Ciptrons that we pay monthly already, which are about, over, I think,
Well, $900 a month just for that, but our total cost for the system right now is over $40,000.
Did you want to talk about Algo at all with this project?
well, that's what that is. Yeah. So the algo systems that you see on there, what's going to help future-proof us for our intercom PA system. Also, the company allows us to be RABON compliant, which is kind of our 911 House bill law that says whenever a phone calls 911 and gets disconnected, the 911 operator should be able to call that phone back rather than go through our call log system, right? To go to the main office and then try to find who called. So this allows us to be more compliant. So we're able to really configure these phones. And again, with the lease agreement, as they make upgrades to these devices and to their software system in the back, we are able to upgrade with them rather than stick with an old aging device that we can't update. So that makes it, again, future-proofing, right? Making sure that we're keeping up with laws and regulations, and then also with the equipment, that it's up to date continuously.
Okay, so we're basically gonna save a few dollars if we choose global data based on what we're paying now for better quality, and also more up-to-date, hardware, things like that. So, I mean, yeah, that's good. Any other questions from the board? No? Okay. So do I have a motion to accept discussion possible action on purchase of over $50,000 as recommended by administration?
So
All right, second.
A motion made by Delma Salinas, ladies first.
Yes, sir.
Jake Pettis.
My wife's
In
here.
favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Now moving on, item 7G, discussion of possible action regarding the 25-26 employee. Want to do that? Okay, I'm sorry, 7G is out of the door here.
Was it a discussion but just not an action, or was it completely?
Actually, it was removed. We passed the agenda.
without it.
So removed from the agenda is what I was told. So we already passed the agenda for that. We're not going to discuss it.
Okay, is that something that we're planning on a future item or closed session? Or-
Yes, members of the Board of Trustees, if you wish to resuscitate it, you may by motion. Otherwise, we can move on and address that at a future date.
I guess my concern is that if I don't have direction and salaries, that is 80% of the budget, and it's going to be very hard to deliver the budget on time to meet the timeline.
I think we just need more information.
Okay.
What's the deadline for this? We've always gone to the.
Well, usually we've approved salaries in June, because salaries are such a large part of the budget that I have to put that in. So I have to bring you the whole budget in less than 2 weeks on August the 4th for approval. So the sooner the better, but again, probably at the very latest Monday or Tuesday of next week, so that I could start plugging all those numbers in and see what we have left, but better if it was approved today and if I can answer any questions today, because otherwise it's gonna be a very big challenge.
That is my question as well. We can open it up for discussion so we can understand what additional questions we need to answer or data to compile for the board and to move it to an approval item.
Okay, so I guess, is there a motion to resuscitate the discussion and possible action regarding the 25-26 employee compensation plan? Is there a motion? By anyone?
Yes, Joe.
Motion made by David Garcia. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Delma Salinas. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Okay. Dr. Pitts.
I can present and then you can ask any questions that you have for me. So you have the teacher salary schedule. The teacher is very self-explanatory, and it is pretty much equal to what every other district is doing. House Bill 2 said that every teacher that has 5 or more years of experience needs to get at least $8,000. And that's what we have. And every teacher that has 3 or 4 years of experience needs to get $4,000. And you see for years 1 and 2, it's up to the district. I put 1,700 there. 1,700 is equal to about a 3% pay raise there. That's one that is not mandated by House Bill 2. As the board suggested, I put together a 2.5% and 3.5% and 3.0% cost to the district of the different models. Let's see if you have that up there. That's right, 8. So if we had a 2.5% increase, if you, does this pointer work?
It's based on PowerPoint.
Okay. All right, I guess I don't have a clicker there, but scroll back up to the top one, please. So the total cost of House Bill 2 increase, you see the bottom line. That is how much we have to pay no matter what anyway. We have to do that increase for teachers. Everything else that the district decides to do in addition would be $678,000 if the board approves a 2.5% increase. That includes all the adjustments for instance, as the teachers go up, counselors, they go up, assistant principals, they go up if they are below what they would make for a teacher, because they are considered to be teacher career pathways. And what they don't want is they don't want a counselor to be making $340 a day and a teacher to be making $350 a day. So there is an adjustment for that Kingsville ISD has to pay for because the state is not paying for that. There is also benefits. Every time there is an increase in salaries, there's an increase in benefits. And you see that $324,170, the district has to pay that. And then if there's a general increase, in this case, 2.5% across the board, that would cost $253,000 just for that. So total cost for the district, $678,000. If you move to the next slide, 3%, I won't go through all the numbers, but you see it is $724,505 that the district would be spending on salary increases with the 3% model for all the pay groups. Again, that's taking teachers out. Teachers were required no matter what. We're talking everybody else. I'll take any other questions that the board has.
Some of the questions in, as far as that I'm going to have, I'd like to move on as far as teachers and people, but I had questions on people that are over the market value. And then I would like to see the administrator's salary plan and see where they're at, the beginning, midpoint, and high side. That was going to be my questions tonight. And I see the teachers, I don't mind, working and getting them on the road, but my thing is making a motion until I have that information to see and to study, because we get the teachers on board, but administrators, a lot of us are on, longer contracts, a lot of the administrators are, so that's the information I want. So if I have to make a motion to approve teacher raises, and then study, I want to study on administrative, the ones that are over market value, and then also all administrators on where they're at as far as starting pay, midpoint, and high.
We're talking about by position or like an average by position, or are we talking individual by person?
What you just showed us right here, your
Oh.
first year, second year, third year, that should be online right now.
Right.
All this stuff should be posted right now, it's not. So that's what I want to see.
And it's the actual compensation plan.
It's a
I know that
compensation
other
plan.
districts do have it online because it's supposed to be online, and it's by pay grade.
Oh, okay, yeah, that.
And then you've got the number of days they work, and then the minimum, the midpoint, and the maximum.
I can
That's what
absolutely,
we need to know for every single position.
I can absolutely get that, and I could even have it ready for you in closed session if you want to look at it in closed session today.
And Dr. Pitts, that should be on the website.
It
It's
could,
supposed to be on the website.
well, it's not a requirement, but,
It's transparency, sir. It should be.
okay, I can have it ready for you by closed session today.
So, would we just take no action?
Yes, Mr. President, I advise you just take no action until after executive session.
Okay. So we don't need a motion or anything, we just take no action.
Just take no action.
Okay. So we'll take no action until we get, some further, information regarding the compensation plan. Now we move on to item 7H, discussion and possible action regarding the 2025-2026 athletic and academic stipends. Can be found on page 5861, Dr. Pitts.
The Excel, Thank you, Mr. Reese. We have, you see the salaries that are in color are the ones that, I'll just review in color, the ones that we're proposing for a revision. If you look at that first one, the assistant principal interns can no longer be on the teacher scale. That again is with House Bill 2. They are not performing teaching duties at least 4 hours a day, so they cannot be classified as a teacher. They can still be on a teacher contract, but as far as our pay, we will be moving them to administrative, the AP scale, pay grade 1, the lowest pay grade that we have there, below the certified assistant principals. And that's why the stipends are going away. The band director, you see that there, that was brought on there at the request of the board. That is the same amount as the athletic director, and it is more than the first assistant band director. The cheerleading, again, was moved to $4,000 to match drill for equity. The DAEP lead, that's something that used to be a $3,000 stipend, and we will have the teacher also with DAP doing the hearings and so on. So there are additional duties with that. The elementary clubs moved to $750. That is equity to be match what it is for UIL. The scroll back up, there's one that has a blank there, the ITC. So this one, we had said that we would have some conversations with TASB, and we did. The issue right here is this stipend is so large that basically it will create a higher daily rate than it will for assistant principals and counselors, which are actually certified. So our recommendation, again, which I didn't have at the time of printing, is to put it at the same as we have the other, the DAP teacher lead at $3,000, so that the thing with House Bill 2 is it shrunk. There used to be a big gap. There were teachers, and then there were APs and counselors up here. And what House Bill 2 did is it really increased teacher salaries. And we had to increase assistant principal and counselors a little bit to make sure that they were higher than they would with teachers that had that increase, but at the same time, they were lower than principal pay. So the scale is decreased. But the problem is then if you have a stipend where they're so close, the stipend causes them to jump over and get paid a higher daily rate. So our recommendation after talking with CASB is to decrease that stipend to $3,000 so that we still have that increase in teacher career pathways. So that stipend does not throw that. And we did check with them. That is more in line with closer to what other districts are paying for that stipend. Then the other one was, child adaptive. This one was moved last year in the middle of the year from $4,000 to $6,000. We still have some vacancies in those positions. We believe that we still need to keep it at $6,000 in order to fill those positions and able to keep that talent. And then the last one, again, let's see, student council and UIL coordinator elementary. That is, again, an equity issue to match at least what it is for a UIL academic event to make sure that they are all on the same level. I'll take any questions you have on the academic stipends.
I got one.
Yes, sir.
We have classroom teachers that are coaches that are getting $7,000 or $8,000 stipends, but in the ITC, we want to lower it because it might raise their daily rate to more than what it should be.
So there are two types of stipends. There's one that accompanies the position and that does not mandate extra hours. And then there are other stipends that they are required to actually work extra hours in order to get that stipend. So they have to be at the practices after hours or games where they would not have to work after hours if they did not have to coach.
It's not making any sense to me. But, and I've been in the business and I know, but we're taking people that we're cutting some money on them. If that's what they got, $5,200 last year. And because it raises it up to a daily rate that's almost close to whatever you said earlier, I don't see if they're doing the work and it was $5,200 last year, where we're going to cut it to $3,000 because it raises their daily rate. I don't. It's a stipend.
That is the board's prerogative.
Yeah, so what we're saying is that that's a recommendation. We can keep it as is, but recognizing that then we're gonna bring ITCs to the same level of, or higher than some of our assistant principals, which then is going to affect, we were talking about market values, right? It's going to skew that role in the district. So then the question becomes, why would anyone be an assistant principal in Kingsville ISD if you can make more money as a teacher or as an ITC? That is a point of view that we can certainly consider, but we're also taking into consideration that the ITC, exactly what you said, it's not that they're working after hours, it's that we wanted to make the salary based on the history, right, competitive enough to get strong people into the role. But now because the teacher salaries are increasing overall, that's no longer a factor.
Dr. Pitts.
Yes, sir. Yes,
You
sir.
keep saying, using the word equity, how do you define equity?
So teacher growth pathways, they are.
No, I meant like in stipends with, you said like.
Oh, I see. People that are doing a similar role at a similar level, having the same stipend.
But there's no really way to measure that. Like, for example, let's say you have a stipend of $5,000, and then you don't know how many hours this person getting 5,000 puts.
But it's
That's a good point.
Probably during the days, that's what you're saying, because their stipend is for during the day.
Their stipend is for the duties they perform during the day.
And the others are after hours.
Well,
Above and beyond.
Yeah, no, specifically the cheerleader one and the drill team one. I mean, I just wanted to, because you don't know who works more. Maybe the cheerleader is working more hours than the dance team. I mean,
That's a good point. And unfortunately, just like salaries, it's not, we could have somebody making 50,000 work twice as hard as another employee that gets 50,000. Unfortunately, we don't set it based on how hard they work. We just try to set it for market value for that stipend or that salary. But you're absolutely right. We don't have a merit system where we reward people right now for extra hours worked. However, next year, there will be a significant merit system with the teacher incentive allotment, where if they, for instance, if they meet the criteria for a master teacher, then they will get paid quite a bit more. And again, that's really gonna throw our system and others, make it interesting that people will say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna make more money as a teacher, because I could be a principal, but I might at least help make more money per day as a teacher, and I won't have to work in the summer, so maybe I will go back to teaching. And maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe we want our best employees to stay teachers. I know I would have stayed a teacher.
That's what the state is saying.
So yeah, it's a completely change of mindset, and all districts are going through these growing pains and issues as they see how House Bill 2 is trying to affect salaries, affect stipends. It's really changing a lot of things. Any other questions on the academic stipends? Let's move on to academic stipends. I'm sorry, athletic stipends.
Oh, yeah, it's still here.
Oh, yeah, it's just on the other tab, the same one, just a different tab. So let's, could you make it a little bit bigger, please? We're gonna make it bigger, and then we're gonna talk about the ones that administration is recommending a change. You see athletic trainer, that is a new stipend. Again, we did not have an athletic trainer last year, and it could have caused a safety issue. I think that we were really lucky last year that it wasn't as bad as it could have been. We didn't have as many severe injuries as it could have been without a trainer. But that one, we do have a trainer that has signed contingent upon the stipend. So we don't know what will happen if that stipend is not passed, but we do have someone that has agreed. But again, we put that stipend is pending board approval. So obviously we could not offer that to them. We could tell what we were recommending to the board. Baseball and middle school and varsity baseball, that extra stipend is contingent upon having another team. The stipend amount is not changing, but if they have enough kids for another team, they would like to have another coach to coach that team. Football varsity, they based on the number of coaches at other schools, they are for varsity. That also includes freshman coaches as well too, and JV coaches. They basically do all three. When they get a stipend, they have to coach freshman, JV, and varsity. The freshman coaches have to be at the varsity games. Let's see, golf is a new stipend. They have interest for that. That would only be if the team makes. Softball for middle school, same thing. If they have enough kids for another position, they would use that stipend. If not, they would not. And then track, they have a lot of interest at the middle school, so that is increased student participation. And then the weight room coordinator would be in off season, there are many people from football and volleyball that they don't continue in another sport. This would allow them to have somebody in there for supervision so that they could use that weight room during off season for student safety. I'll take any other questions, or you can also direct them to Ruben Garcia as well.
I have a question for Ruben, and it's just clarification. I know last week you did tell us that weight room coordinator, that individual would be in there every afternoon, not just off season.
It'll be, once we have the amount of kids, after football and volleyball is when we get the most kids.
So it's not gonna be open every day, during football?
Well,
That's what you told us last week.
no, last week I believe I said that the off-season kids. When we talk, I know I specifically said off-season is when we get a lot of kids to go out. So the plan for that is to have someone who doesn't have a winter sport run the weight room after school, because that's when we have the majority of the kids that are trying to go after school to get workout in, get the weight room, get the training, because all of our other coaches are coaching 3 to 4 sports. That's just where we're at right now. So that just allows us, instead of putting them in an actual sport, they'll run the weight room after school so that we have the supervision of the kids to get a workout in, to be there, because last year, I mean, every day they're asking, coach, we can open the weight room, coach, we can open the weight room. Some days we could, some days we couldn't. If we have a designated individual, that's what their duty is. It allows them to open it every day for those kids. Ideally, like I said, we get the majority of the kids as soon as football and volleyball season ends, because that's where we have the most kids. We're projected to have this year, coming from middle school for football wise, we're projected to have around 130 kids. So, and then volleyball, they have 4 teams, or 3 teams could have 4. So a lot of our kids are there now. We might have some of the kids that are not, so we can organize to where there is a coach there for an hour, and then they go to their other practice. So I'm toying with it. I don't have a foolproof because, again, it's pending board approval. And once that happens, then I kind of have an idea of what I want to do with it. But it's really up to board approval before I can really get down to it and figure out the best plan of action for that.
So how have you been doing it in the past years?
We don't open it.
At all throughout the year?
No, not unless there's gonna be able to coach me there. So sometimes we're able to open it for them, sometimes we're not. It's very inconsistent. And I mean, more often than not, we're not able to, just because of everything else that's going on. Because after the fall sports is when it gets the busiest, especially in the spring, because you're gonna have soccer, boys and girls soccer, baseball, softball, boys and girls powerlifting, tennis, golf, boys and girls track, all going on at the same time.
So this individual that is gonna do it is gonna have a schedule? Like, you're gonna be in there from
Yes, it would.
October, November, you're gonna be there from December to the end of the year, or?
Yes, correct. Correct. No, it would be,
All that information?
he would be in there every day after school. We get out at, I believe it's 3:50 this year. Plan is for him to be there from 4 to 5:30 for the kids. Have it open an hour and a half for them to come in and work out. Some kids won't get there exactly at 4. They'll probably get there at 4:15, 4:30. They'll open it an hour and a half every day.
See, Mr. Garcia, that was the problem I had last week, was because you did tell us that this individual was gonna be in there every single day, not off season. You said every single day. That I did pose a question to Dr. Garcia, and I told her, so that individual that is gonna do it is not gonna do any other sports, because of the fact that they're gonna have to be in there every day, because that's what we had been told.
Then I might have not clarified it well, yes, last time we were here, because I was under the impression that I did say it was off season. And if I didn't, then that's my mistake, my apology, but I believe that when we talked about it, I talked about off
So
season.
coach, the idea would be, instead of this coach coaching another sport, that would be their responsibility in the off season.
Correct.
Like after football season or
Or
whatever.
volleyball, because it could be a female, it could be a male or a female. But after the fall sports where we're the biggest and we have the most participation, that's their job.
So if volleyball ends earlier than football, they would immediately upon the end of.
Right, because it would,
season-
correct, because I would not use a varsity football coach in that spot,
So.
because I would play
Have
longer.
someone in mind already? Because if not, I mean, who's gonna get this 30? It's not a lot, but it's.
I have an idea of someone that I think would be good for it, because they have the background in it and they're not coaching high school sports. So they're not gonna be demanded as much because they're doing middle school sports, but they have background in running a weight room. So that's kind of where I'm at, but I don't want to guarantee that it's that person, because I don't like doing that. I like to talk to all the coaches and see who's interested and go through, see what their ideas, their plans are, and then make the selection from there.
And just a reminder, just because we're approving all the academic and the sports stipend, it doesn't mean that we're gonna give all the stipends away if we're not able to fill the roles. So what we need is for the board to let us know if we're approving the stipends, and the goal would be, as the year progresses, to be communicating if the stipends are being used, and ideally monthly share who is sitting in those seats to have a comprehensive picture. But right now, we're just seeking approval without names attached to stipend. In some cases, we already have names. In other cases, we don't.
Any other questions?
No other questions? Okay, so is there a motion to approve the 25-26? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've got a question on, I know you haven't touched on it yet.
Yes,
Dr. Rich. What is tier one category of those stipends? Is that travel?
So those are car allowance stipends. So the direction that I had from the board last time was to separate based on the amount of travel that each of the positions does. So I put them into two positions. So for instance, I'll just use mine since I don't care talking about mine, CFO. I do not travel as much as some of the other positions. So I put myself in tier one, which is a lower stipend. If you look on the academic list, you have car allowance tier one and car allowance tier two. Again, the people that travel more intra-district and the people that travel less. So
I'm sorry, I missed it. I'm sorry. Okay.
So it's 325 and 60.
And I have one more
Yes.
question. Why aren't assistant principals on here?
for travel, they don't travel very much,
They're
but
administrator. I know they probably go to attendance hearings.
But what we do normally for people that travel that do not get a stipend is they get a per diem amount. So every time they travel, they could submit for 70 cents per mile and get that for those that don't travel as much.
So they can do that.
They can do that, yes, sir.
So you're gonna have them do that.
Yeah, everybody who has not gotten a stipend has always been able to do that to claim mileage.
Dr. Spence, I missed a meeting last week, so I believe this was already asked. But do we have the vehicles at
We do.
disposal?
Yes, we do. There is a limited number of vehicles and they are in high demand for most student activities and for adult activities as well. So that's the issue there. We don't have enough to go around.
Okay. So then when there's a training at Region 2, for example, I see at times that you're paying 3 people for mileage when they can hop in the car, but you're saying that the availability is?
It does depend on district availability. It depends on whether a student, you have several student activities that day, or sometimes, again, you could have adult activities in different areas. But we try as much as we can to carpool because that does provide for savings.
I'm getting in the weeds here because my whole goal is just trying to save money because we're in a tight crunch. So people who live in Corpus and go to Region 2, I understand they're claiming mileage, like if they're coming to Keene?
No, not as if they're coming. Everybody is only allowed to claim mileage from door to door. So they would claim from from their home to Region 2. They would not claim from Kingsville ISD going all the way there. That's only for people that live here in Kingsville ISD.
Any other questions? Did I miss a page? All right, so is there anyone that make a motion to approve the 25-26 athletic and academic stipends?
You know what? I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Delma Salinas.
You know what, I'll second that.
Second by David Garcia. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Moving on, item 7I, discussion and possible action regarding the first reading of localized policy update 125 can be found on pages 62 to 104. Dr. Sandoval.
Thank you, Mr. Reese, Dr. Dama Garcia, and board trustees. I'm going to read and give you an update on update 125 that has been just recently provided to us as a district. First reading of update 125 includes revisions to legal framework, documents changed at regulatory changes, including amendments to the Texas Administrative Code. Changes to local policies offered for consideration address the following: election of board officers, board communities, committees, advisory committees, partial academic credit, school safety transfers, and attendance credits. We are looking at 6 different local policies for approval today. We are looking at BDAA, BDB, BDF, EI, FDE, and FEC local. So BDAA local, these revisions are recommended to the local policy on board officer duties and requirements. At board officer, the sentence indicates that the board may assign a district employee to provide clerical assistance is recommended for deletion, since the superintendent, rather than the board, manages staff assignments, including providing support to the board. And under terms and duties, the vice president, the revised language clarifies that when the vice president automatically becomes president due to a vacancy, they then serve as president until the board reorganizes. Policy BDB, this policy has been revised in coordination with BDF local to clarify the difference between board committees and advisory committees. Accordingly, the subtopic of this code has been changed from internal committees to board committees. And new provisions are recommended to establish how board committees are formed and outline their purpose. Text addressing the dissolution of board committees is also recommended for inclusion. The language previously as special committees has been moved to BDF local. Now on a BDF local, this local policy is recommended for inclusion to coordinate with the changes at BDB. The subtopic of this code has been changed from Citizen Advisory Committee to Advisory Committees. Language has been moved from here to BDB and updated to clarify how advisory committees are formed and the parameters of their responsibilities. Next, we move on to EI local. At partial credit, recommended revision replace the phrase combined grade 4 with average of to more accurately reflect the determination of awarding credit when a student earns a passing grade in only half of a course. Next one, FDE local. As Safe Schools data, bullying is recommended for inclusion as an offense for which the district must collect and maintain data. The revision aligns with the Unsafe School Choice Option Guidance Handbook. And the last policy that we're looking at for potential revision is FEC local. These revisions throughout the policy are recommended for clarity. The information in the first sentence of the policy has been incorporated at absences considered for improvement readability. Rather than directing the board to establish attendance committees, the policy now authorizes the establishment of those committees by the administration. Add methods for regaining credit or awarding a final grade. Its specifics regarding petitions for credit are recommended for deletion in favor of reference to administrative regulations. Revisions at imposing conditions for awarding credit or final grade are recommended for clarifying requirements regarding seat time. So those are 6 policies that are being considered for the first reading for update 125. Do you have any questions or any clarifying question you want to ask at this time?
I've got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Looking at FDE, where it talks about the bullying, and it says it's recommended for inclusion as an offense in which the district must collect and maintain data. What type of data would you all collect? Would it be a student that's constantly bullying other students, or what type of information? I'm just curious that would be collected.
So we currently collect data, if there's guns brought to school or weapons. We'll also be having to do the same thing for bullying. If it classifies as bullying and meets the criteria of what bullying is, we're going to report it on our PEMS, and it'll be a reportable offense, and it'll be calculated in our findings whether we are a safe or unsafe school.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Well, actually, I have a question. So on BDAA local, we're talking about revision of a board officer, and we wanted to expand the role of the vice president. Is this something we would look at here, or is that something else? Nick?
My recommendation would be to do that board operating procedure for the board referenced in your board policy about board duties and obligations.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to accept the first reading of localized policy update 125? Motion made by David Garcia, second by Martin Chapa. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Now moving on to item 7K, discussion and possible action regarding student code of conduct for the 25-26 school year, can be found on pages 108 to 153. Dr. Sandoval.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. I'm here to present, I don't have this one's in your binders, so I don't have a presentation. So the student code of conduct, we have in front of us the TASB model that was put out last week. I want to go over a few specific things that have changed in the student code of conduct for the 25-26 school year and bring it to your attention so that you see that and make a informed decision on whether to approve this tonight or not. If you turn to page 120 in your binder, one of the first changes that was made was possession of personal communication devices. We kind of touched on that in previous workshops. In the new handbook or code of conduct, it states that students shall not bring or use a personal communication device, including a cell phone or other electronic devices on school property during the school day. You can see there's a C error reference source not in. That should have been omitted. I did make a correction, send that to Ms. Pettis today. If the board decides to approve this as currently drafted, that has been omitted on the new draft. The district may authorize the use of a personal communication device for the following reasons. To implement an individual education program or IEP, or for a plan created under Section 504 Rehabilitation Act of 1973, or a similar program or plan, or with documented need based on a directive from a qualified physician, or to comply with the health or safety requirement imposed by law or as part of the district's safety protocols. I've been in communication with Mr. Maddox because I know that the board has asked a question regarding the policy. So Mr. Maddox, if you want to kind of give a little bit more detail on that policy that we've been discussing.
Yes, sir. Members of the board, Superintendent Garcia. So the language in the statute adopted says that TEA shall create a policy and procedure for the implementation of the cell phones in schools. So my advice initially was to wait until TEA releases that. That way we only adopt local policy one time and we know that it's compliant. However, the deadline to implement is starting to creep up. It's September. TEA still has not released it yet. I do believe they will release it in time, but many of our fellow surrounding districts have started to adopt their own already. We're happy to do that. As Dr. Sandoval has said, we have been in frequent communication about this. I do believe if we adopt one prior to TEA release, we may have to adopt a new one that's compliant with TEAs, but at least we'll have one in the interim. So we'll put it before you. If you have an opinion on that, happy to draft that up for you, or we can continue to wait on TEAs, of course, keeping an eye on that deadline.
What I know of the state waiting for the state to make any decisions, I think it's not a good idea. I think we should move forward with something, especially if other districts around us are adopting something, like you said, if we have to modify at a future date, then we modify. I mean, we can do it, but I think definitely we should think about considering creating something. So if you would please draft that, we would definitely should have that soon.
Is there any way that we can put out, or do we have it, or we can publicize where there has been a change made for phones because, they're going to bring them anyway, but can we get it out there that, what the change is as of right now until we adopt something?
We have put something out, I think it was about a month ago, we put something out, CNI and the CNI department drafted something and we put out there on social media, but it's not very detailed, Mr. Morales. So we can definitely work on putting something a little bit more detailed and run it through the superintendent and get some feedback. and then we can look at pushing that, because definitely we need to make sure our students and parents are well informed of what the law is and what we as a district are going to hold them accountable to.
Thank you.
I had a question about getting the word out. I've been taking like informal, it's really informal, asking teenagers if they heard about it. Many of them have not. It's going to be a shock to them. I think there's some stuff on social media that was, once again, parents are like, they're going to bring it anyway. I'm going to give it to them or whatever. I know you probably know this, administrators, but there's going to be a lot of pushback from students and their parents. I mean, they're going to hate this thing. But I know it's important. When we went to training this summer, I can tell you every school board member out there in the state is just really excited about this. We think it's going to make a huge difference. So we just know that we're behind you all the way with whatever you decide to do. We really want to support this.
Well, thank you, because we know it's an ongoing problem as educators and administrators, and we want to make sure that we follow the new law, as written, and we will make sure that it increases instructional time for our students. So we'll work on that draft, and we'll, again, I'll push it through superintendent, and they'll get it out to you, get your feedback, and then I'll work with Mr. Maddox on getting it written, specific to the law. Again, we may have to bring it back as a revised policy, but we definitely need to make sure we put something out there, because not all the kids have heard about it. That's correct. Some have, but not all have.
Yeah, and the other reminder is that we also have to continue to work at infrastructure, because if the worst thing, I have a sixth grader that does not have a phone, to be clear, so as a parent, I made that choice. And because he does not have a phone, you cannot imagine how much I have to work to get in touch with him when I need to drop off something and when I need to pick up something. And it's frustrating to not be to go to the school and say I need to pick up my kid because he has doctor's appointments, and the secretary tells me we'll text him, but he doesn't have a phone. And then they're like, well, we don't know what class he's at. I'm like, well, what do you mean you don't know what class he's at? I need to take him. So that's just a reminder that it's gonna be pain points at the beginning. Particularly, we have HEV infrastructure with intercoms, and teachers are just not used to doing that, whatever the policy is. So there's gonna be a lot of frustration. I'm telling you, the parent, that again, my kids don't have a phone on purpose, but I also understand the parent pain point in terms of trying to get a hold of their kids when they don't have a phone in a school system that is designed with kids having phones.
It'll probably be like a step system of a warning, fee, another fee type thing. Is that what you're gonna work with Maddox?
That is correct. So we definitely need to have a procedure, not only the policy, but also what is our procedure when phones do get confiscated? Is there a fee structure or pay? What is the process for kids that need to bring a phone because they got an extra curricular activity after school? We got to make sure that all that's written into the policy.
Dr. Sandoval, do all the classrooms have a phone?
I believe so. I believe they do. But it's really more about training and getting them used to the new procedure. That's going to be the biggest headache, because we've been accustomed to having them in our possession for years.
We're here with our phones.
Yeah.
I see everybody with their phones.
True.
So we're just on like this.
So next update that I want to make sure that you guys are well aware of is in section or page 126. It's towards the middle. It's a teacher or campus behavior coordinator or other appropriate administrator must notify a parent or person standing in parental relation to a student of the formal removal for formal removal. This is for a formal removal of a student by a teacher. So we got to make sure we notify the parent, either the student, let me go back, either the principal or the AP or the teacher needs to make sure we notify the parent that a formal removal is being recommended by the teacher. Next thing that I want to bring to your attention is on page 130. That's towards it's the second to last, or third to last paragraph, or the last bullet. Possession or use of an e-cigarette as defined by section 161.081, except that if a student who possesses or uses an e-cigarette is not placed in a disciplinary alternative education program for the first time offense under Education Code 37.006. The student shall be placed in an in-school suspension for a period of at least 10 school days. So in past practice for the last year, we have been putting kids in DAP for a first offense for e-cigarettes. So now our procedure will now be changing to where it's going to be a minimum of 10 days of in-school suspension for any kid in violation. And a big number of our kids that went to DAP last year were for vapes. And we had probably about a 40-60 split on some of those being THC and some of those being just nicotine. So we'll definitely see a drop in the number of kids going to DAP for first-time offenses, but definitely they'll be spending time in our school suspension now.
I've got a question, Dr.
Yes, sir.
I was thinking 10 days. What if you have a special ed student that gets caught? That's 10 days, you're gonna use up their days right away to where you're gonna have to have an art meeting. Could we cut that down to maybe, I'm just saying maybe 5-6 days? You understand where I'm coming from?
I do, Mr. Pettis, but that is a state law. That is not an option that we have. It was an actual requirement.
What if it's a manifestation of a disability?
Then they won't. If it's a manifestation of their disability, then they won't have to do that. It would be the same as going to DAP. So like this year, they would go to DAP, so they'd be out of placement because it was a 15-day placement. So we would have to have the manifestation art and the out of placement art for them. So going to ISS is going to be the same thing. We'll just keep them on campus instead of taking them off campus. But if it's a manifestation of their art, then they won't have to do that. They can't start it, but then if we say that it is a manifestation, then they won't have to complete those days.
But if they go to ISS, the instruction will go to them?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we have a plan for ISS.
Okay.
Yes.
The last thing I want to bring to your attention that has changed, and this is new language, it's in the glossary on page 146. The term anti-Semitism, the definition, as a certain perception of Jews that may be expressed as hatred towards Jews. The term excludes rhetorical and physical acts of anti-Semitism directed towards Jewish or non-Jewish individuals or their property or towards Jewish community, institutions, and religious facilities. That wasn't in the language that's been added, and it's actually it's written in there, I think, on page 5 on the actual student code of conduct. So it made reference to it, so I wanted to make sure I highlighted that because that definitely was new to the student code of conduct. So again, this is the TASB model they put out with the revisions that we need to include. These are the 4 things that I wanted to make sure I pointed out that were drastic changes to the student code of conduct for the 25-26 school year. I'll take any questions you might have.
I was gonna ask, do you know more or less what the numbers were at the DAP this year? I mean, you probably had repeat offenders 2 or 3 times, type thing.
Total numbers, I couldn't tell you. Mr. Segovia's not here. He finished up the year there, but we were averaging. Oh, there he is. Hey, see you hiding, Mr. Segovia. I couldn't tell you our total numbers, Mr. Mireles, but we were averaging anywhere between 45 and 50 kids there on a daily basis. And there were times where we weren't allowed to take kids and move kids to DAP, and we kept them at their home campus for certain offenses because we didn't have the capacity to order our kids. I'll let Mr. Segovia kind of touch on that a little bit.
Good evening. Good evening. We currently starting this school year, we have 27 students at the high school, and we have 17 starting at Gillette. Those are the carryovers from the past school year.
That were mandatory?
Most of them are mandatory, yes, sir. They were either nicotine. Yeah, we have a full house.
So the 27, that number comes from, it's continuing from
Some
last year?
some were carried over from last year. They didn't finish their time. I know there was 2 at Gillette that on the last day of school they got caught. So they're starting from day 1, August 11th.
Can you waive it if they're allowed
We're gonna review,
That's-
I told them anyone that we're gonna review and anyone that is the 10 days that was nicotine, that we can look at bringing them back if they've already done it.
I had an
So we are
attendance.
gonna try to get some kids.
had a attendance meeting today with the high school and Gillette, and we did bring that up, and we're going to look at some of the students.
Exactly.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Coach.
Any other questions?
Hearing no questions, so this is the okay, so are we approving, the student code of conduct for 25-26 school year? Is there a motion?
Okay, we didn't have a copy, it's not the first reading. So I know you didn't have a copy, but you went through the revisions.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
So moved.
Motion made by Delma Salinas,
Second.
second made by Jake Perez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Moving on, item 7L, discussion of possible action regarding Texas A&M University Kingsville agreement to offer dual enrollment. Can be found on pages 154 to 174. Dr. Sandoval.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. The MOU before you is between Texas A&M University Kingsville and KISD. This MOU has been reviewed by our attorney, and there are no changes from this year's MOU and next year's MOU for the 25-26 school year. So it's before you, the board, we asked the board that we approve the dual enrollment MOU between A&M Kingsville and Kingsville ISD for the 25-26 school year.
Dr. Sandoval,
Yes, sir.
so we also go to Del Mar, right? So
Currently,
how
yes.
many? So is there just different classes or what? Just can you educate us on?
Currently, right now, as I mentioned to you, or I mentioned to you guys in a different setting, was we're definitely working with 3 different partners right now, Del Mar, CBC, and Luke. One of the things that we're trying to do, and we're trying to make sure we're trying to get a lot of our kids face-to-face. That's the primary thing that we're trying to do, because we know our kids are more successful when we have a teacher that's providing face-to-face instruction versus virtual. And our early college high school administrator, Ms. Moore, have been working very closely with Del Mar and are trying to get, I think, 4 or 5 of our staff members at H.M. King to become our adjunct professors. And we're trying to get as many of those kids in that situation. Those that we can't, we are trying to get them either through CBC or through TAMU to get their instruction as well. So primarily, we're trying to do the face-to-face there at H.M. King.
So then we don't have any sort of, you guys don't have any sort of formula like CBC is doing math and A&M Kings is doing English?
We've had that in the past, Mr. Chapa. Right now, it's really because Del Mar is making it a little bit easier for our facilitator or faculty to become our adjuncts. That's the direction we're moving in, and we're trying to work with Del Mar College for that reason, because they're being more flexible.
Kudos for Del Mar College.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why. So, do we have a motion to accept the Texas A&M University Kingsville agreement to offer dual enrollment? Motion made by Delma Salinas. Second made by Martin Chapa. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sandoval. We will now move on. The board will enter into closed session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551071 and 551074 to deliberate and consider the following. Item 8A, consider and deliberate with legal counsel regarding pending action, pending litigation and personnel matters. No action will be taken until we return to open session. We are entering into closed session at 7:35 p.m. To open session and take necessary action on matters which the board may discuss in open session and upon which action may be taken. We are returning to open session at 8:38 p.m. So item number 9A, discussion and possible action regarding personnel matters. So I'm going to read the motion. Is there a motion to approve as stated, with the exception of administration, professional contracts who are above 100% market value at this time pending additional information? No.
No, Mr. President, we need to revisit the item that the board took no action.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, that's right. So going back to, item 7G, discussion and possible action regarding the 2025-2026 employee compensation plan. So,
I believe there was two options, Mr. President. One for, it was 3% and 2.5, is that correct?
Yes.
that is correct. So, is there a motion to accept the 3% increase with the exception of administration, or professional, or over the 100% of the market value at this time pending additional information?
I think it's pending information, that's. That would be good.
No, it was just anybody over market value.
Yeah, anybody that was over the 100.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve 3% increase with the exception of administrative and professional contracts who are over 100% of the market value?
Yes, that's it.
So who makes that motion? Delma Salinas?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Delma Salinas, second by Joe Mireles. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. So there being no further action, I do hereby adjourn this meeting. We are adjourning the meeting, regular meeting at 8:41 p.m.